Hello, hello, hello. We are live. And welcome to this, I was going to say this week's, but actually this is today's video, which is visibility and the jam-packed January. So with my cup of tea in my hand, black tea decaffeinated Earl Grey, for those of you who are wondering. Just going to take a quick slurp of that. And if you're wondering what this is, my light is just above my head. But like dogs, angels aren't just for Christmas, they're for life. So that's what's hanging there. One of my besties got that for me a couple of years ago, actually, because she knows I like angels. Anyway, today we're going to talk about, in this video, we're going to talk about raising your profile, your work being known, and putting yourself out there in lots of different ways. So what do I mean by raising your profile? This is becoming you becoming more known, your business becoming more known, your personal brand becoming more known, you becoming more known, if that's the way that you want to, run your business. What does your work being known actually mean? Now, there's this obsession to talk about visibility and putting yourself out there and being visible in a way that makes you sound like, woo, look at me, I'm a superstar. But to me, visibility is an inside job. So it means that if you are, if you have a business, or you're thinking of starting a business, or you've been doing it for a while, you're a CEO, maybe you manage people or a team, you want people really to understand what you do for them and make inquiries, at least find out about how they can work with you or your business, how they can delve deeper into your book, how they can look at your products, whether they're physical products or online products or courses. You want more people to be curious and understand that. So this isn't just visibility for visibility's sake. This is visibility for putting yourself out there. So as you're watching, and if you can hear the sound of my voice, by all means, type in the box, let me know who you are, where you're watching from, or if you're feeling a bit shy, just an emoji, thumbs up, a love heart, or something else like that. Okay, so you might be watching this live on the replay, and this is currently streaming to my YouTube channel. So if you're not on my YouTube channel yet, what are you waiting for? Go over there and subscribe, because every time some nuggets are released, I let you know. The other thing is, you might be watching this and thinking, who is this person? Well, as you can see from there, I'm Jenny Kovacs, Visibility Queen. Actually, I'm known as the Queen of Being Seen. I'm a speaker, I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, and I'm a trainer. And I specialize in visibility, the type of visibility that both activates you to be visible and accelerates your visibility. And this can happen at all times. Even for me, I love this work because I do this work. Some of those nice big things that you see me doing, and some of those unusual things that you might have thought of doing, are all down to what I share and what I teach. So I want to take a moment to say hello, Alan. Good morning, Alan. It is still good morning, isn't it? Only just-ish. But waving to Alan, who I know is based in the UK. So what else do I want to say? Yeah, I just want to say, with the visibility work, I'm really passionate about this work, and I'm passionate about it because I see so many people, brands, companies, like really switched on, smart individuals that feel like they're being ignored, not being taken seriously, or being overlooked. So I work with business owners, I work with big brands, I speak on different stages, and I work with CEO founders, but also business owners as well, because for many of us, you like me might be a one-man band business that does everything. Maybe you freelance or use freelancers or have people to help you, or maybe you prefer to do it yourself. Either way, I hear the same thing time and time again. I hear, Jenny, I'm a really private person, so I don't want to be putting my life out there online. That's fine. The good news is, in this particular video, I'm actually going to focus on things you can do offline. The other thing people say is, oh, but I'm not very good on screen. In fact, I'm working with a few people currently now for their sole purpose. They're confident, they're smart, they're savvy, they've got really interesting businesses, but they don't feel like they're confident enough to be on video and on camera. And as many people that I've worked with over the years will tell you, I have some really nice ways, really nice processes, like little step-by-steps, very easy ways of helping you to build your confidence on camera. And I'll share why that's important in a moment. And the other thing that I'm hearing more and more of is, and I keep calling it SMedia. If you hear me say SMedia or see me write S''media, I'm talking about social media. Because to me, there's a difference between visibility for social media and a slight difference really between visibility for being online. And whilst both work in each field, you don't have to necessarily be on social media to be online, and vice versa, if that makes any sense. So the reason that I hear a lot of people talk about this is that they'll say, oh, but you know, I don't really want to be on social media. I find it drains my energy. Sometimes they tell me they find it like a toxic place to be. Other people have told me that they find it really exhausting. People have told me they found it a waste of time. They've been trying to do something and it hasn't really yielded the results. You know, all sorts of reasons. And depending on who you are as a business, who your audience is, your business model, and the kind of credibility that you want to create, depends on the best way to position yourself. We haven't got time for that today, but what I will be sharing with you are some things that you can do to boost and raise your visibility, you know, raise your professional profile, put yourself out there, put your work out there, and be remembered. And I'm going to tell you why I called this Jam-Packed January. And I'm going to be transparent with you because I have worked with big brands. You know, I've worked with international brands such as Face Gym. I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, which is American and UK-based brand. I've worked with your British telecoms, you know, all of that kind of stuff, transportation, people in the financial service industry, currently still the mentor of the year for the Institute of Travel and Tourism's Future You. I work across sectors, and this gives me a really good insight into what might work better in some industries, what might not work so well in other industries, and depending on people's brands, what happens. But last year, like many business owners that I've spoken to over at least the last 6 months, if not a bit longer than that, like many business owners, you know, I too hit bumps in the road, hit forks in the road, and I'm a bit like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? And sometimes they're not even bumps in the road, they're great big potholes that kind of send you down there and have you kind of gasping for air. So I'm not immune to anything that you've been through. And I know from speaking to people that some of you have had quite a tough time of it, a tough year. And you're just thinking, what's the point? I'm wasting my time. So I hope that in this video, you can think of it as a mini masterclass on ways that you can be even more visible and put yourself out there. Now, if you find value from this, by all means, share it. At the moment, as I say, I'm streaming on my Facebook page, which is the Queen of Being Seen. You'll find it at Visibility Vibe without the S on the end. And I'm also streaming this on YouTube for those of you that have said, oh, well, I don't like being on Facebook, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And you can go back and watch this again and again, pause it, write down what you want to do, what action you would like to take, and then go do it. Okay, there's kind of some things to think about when you're implementing what you hear. Think about where you are right now, where you want to get to, what kind of bridge do you need to build between them to have them meet or match in the middle. And from there, you can then think about what actions you want to take. And you can have a look at then how you can tweak it and change it if you need to. I actually heard a really great podcast this morning. It's only 12 minutes long, from somebody that I go into their rooms pretty regularly on Clubhouse. So if you would like to know more about that 12-minute podcast, send me a message or just write podcast. It's not my podcast, but I'm happy to share this particular episode. Just write in the comments below this video, and I'll make sure that you get the link so that you can listen to it, because it's a really, really great, succinct, 5 kind of steps to look through when you're retweaking. So last year, when I was hitting my bumps in the road, bruising my elbows, gasping for air and thinking, what the hell is going on? I had a few moments. There was one point where I wondered, like, if it felt to me like I wanted to make myself redundant, you know, and I'd experienced that many years ago through my corporate phase. So I wouldn't want to do that for myself if I didn't have to. But I just wondered, is this stuff still working? Are people too freaked out? I had COVID last year, had long-term client and that ended. I knew it was going to end. And I also encountered a lot of corporates, particularly, that were being spooked by what was going on. Obviously, we lost our dear Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, but they're also spooked by energy crisis talks, cost of living conversations, and retaining their talent and all of that kind of stuff. And this had a ripple effect. A lot of people I spoke to loved what I had to offer and said, we really want to do this, but we need to push it back. That was basically it. And through that time, I found myself with some pretty low income months. And I thought to myself, well, what can I do about this? I'm not really a giving up type of a person. But at the same time, I thought, is this sensible? Do I push on? What do I do? And it was exasperating. It was like being in a boxing ring. But what I did was I looked back at my own work, which is always weird for me to do. And I looked at, well, what can I do that's not online? And here's why this visibility in this way for the jam-packed January is so important. What I have found is when you are positioning your business, your products, your services online, your message has to be so crystal clear that it sounds like at a pitch that the people that you want to work with, whether you call them your ideal clients, your avatars or anything like that, the people that you want to work with, they hear it so clearly. They know it's for them. They understand it. They're not questioning it. They're not getting furrowed brows when they're looking at you. So I'm going to share with you some things that you can do. Now, if you're part of the Visibility Vibes tribe, which is the Facebook group, and it's a good place for you to be able to share your stuff without the eyes of the world outside of that group watching, then do share your own tips for when you're out and about. Now, just so that you know, it will look like this. There'll be a post in there, which I think I spoke about this live stream in there, but be seen off screen, out and about. So if you too have any tips around going out and about and being away from the screen, maybe not so digital, that work, this is the caveat, that actually work and that work for you, then share them. If you've got great tips that you've heard from someone else and you haven't tried them out yet, then say that too. But I want us to all share as a community in that group things that work. And if you're watching this, of course, on YouTube or on my Facebook page and you want to type underneath, by all means, you can share there. Just know that obviously it's a public forum and everybody sees it, which is cool because then I get to interact with you. So the first, there are 3 areas that I looked at, and consider this a mini masterclass. So the first area is travel. What happens when you are out and about? And I happen to know Alan, like me, he rolls his sleeves up. He gets his hands dirty. He doesn't just sit behind his computer all day, polishing his nails and tapping and looking pretty. He rolls his sleeves up. He goes out and he mentors people. He speaks physically, face to face, eyeball to eyeball. And he also sits on lots of different committees as well. So if you're like Alan or like myself, we network, we go out. You don't want everything to stop because you're out and about. Now, it might be that you're attending a meeting, and sometimes, I can attend a meeting. It's 6 minutes walk to the train station, 15 minutes on the train, and another 4 minutes to one of the offices that I tend to go to quite a lot. That doesn't give me a lot of time to do a lot of stuff, but it gives me enough time to do some stuff. So when you're traveling and you're wanting to be visible, think about doing things like planning out what you want to do. Remember, I talked a little moment back about looking at where you are right now, because where I am right now on the 4th of January, as I record this, is different to where I was, say, on the 2nd of October last year, which I happened to remember I was running a marathon and then walking and then eating squares of flapjack and then waving at crowds. Compared to where I was maybe mid-March last year, which was in my sickbed with COVID, So at any given time, on a very regular basis, you can have a look at where you are now, can have a look at where you want to get to, but it's great to kind of do a recalibration so that you don't end up so far off track that it takes a mountain to claw things back. And note to everybody, including myself, last year when I was really being put through my paces, I did that at times. I just kind of let it keep going. I didn't review it. I didn't recalculate or recalibrate. So it meant that I shot so far past the thing that I wanted to do that it took a great deal of effort to recalculate. So when you are traveling, whether it's locally, nationally, or internationally, of which I've done all of those things and worked as I've done it. So let's take locally. Maybe you're going out to a meeting and things like that. It could be that you wait for a bus, a train, a taxi, could be a friend to pick you up. It could be that you are, you're going to, like I say, get on public transport. There will be moments where you can center yourself. Now, there's a couple of things you can do. You can look inwards or outwards. I do both, not at the same time, obviously. So what I might do is if I'm on a 15-minute train journey, so I'm kicking my light stand, where angel number 2, I'll show you this one as well, bought by the same friend, not just for Christmas, but all year they sit on my light stands. The inward thing I do is I have meditations that I can listen to. I put my headphones on, they're nice big noise cancelling ones. And I can, look, she's flying in the screen now. And I can listen to a meditation. I've got one that's as short as 8 minutes, one that's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. I get to pick the length and I can just like center myself, get calm, not be freaking out. Oh, I'm going to a networking meeting and I'm going to see lots of people. It's going to be really nerve-wracking, because if you walk in with that energy, everyone feels it. So the inner stuff that I do is I might just center myself just for a few minutes. If you're not into meditation, it could be a nice piece of music. Personal recommendation, Vangelis, the Chariots of Fire music. It's quite funny to listen to that and watch people running around and scrabbling around like ants for like the underground and things like that. But that's a nice centering piece of music. So that's what you could do internally. Externally, you might make a video. I very famously made a video years ago when I was on a train as the announcements were going. And I did it because the night before I'd been on a speaking gig and people had asked me questions. And whilst I'd answered most of those questions while I was there, there were a few that people asked me, and it was like a recurring theme. It was like the same question. So the next day I'm on the train and I thought, I'm just going to get my phone out and I'm going to make this video and answer this question. That piece of content, like, I've been able to share it time and time and time again for years afterwards. Talk about repurposed content. Great visibility that works for me, has people reach out, and I wasn't selling anything in the video, but also have people, I've had strangers come up to me and say, I saw your video that you did on the train, and it encouraged me to go out and do my own videos, for example. So tick there, job done, because I am about the sort of visibility that activates and accelerates your ability to be visible. That's it. I'm like a catalyst. We work in tandem to be able to do that. And that's why I like working privately with people, but also in groups as well, because there's a different energy and a dynamic. So when you're traveling, have something with you. And I've just alluded to what that magical tool is. Have a phone. Have a phone. I've got 2 phones here, but have a phone, because you can then just create a video, which brings me on to the next piece. So the next thing is around, well, what happens if you're offline? Like by choice, you choose to be offline, had enough, switched off, you want to unplug, or maybe you've had a tech snafu. Those days, and it happens, the internet goes down. I once had an internet go down during the pandemic, actually, when I was delivering a 3-day online event, and I lost connection. The internet just dropped as I was actually making an offer to the people who were there. These things happen. Becoming frustrated with internet working and internet not working is a waste of space and a waste of time. So here's what you can do. Again, use your phone, go outside, go into the park, the best natural daylight that there is outside, even in the winter months. Go out and connect with nature. And the reason I say this from a visibility perspective is it gives you lots of ideas. It gives you lots of different things to think about. Go people watch. So many of you offer things to people that are so valuable for real life scenarios. You might find inspiration sitting in coaching groups and programs, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But you'll find real in life inspiration just going out and seeing people in the world. They could be in the supermarket, they could be in the local coffee shops, they could be taking their kids to school, they could be going to the leisure centre, they could be boarding a bus or a train, they could be just walking down the streets talking to their friends, they could be taking photographs over a river or some scenic place. Get out there. When you are offline by choice or by tech, get out there and really look at what the world's doing. And don't just look, listen, take it in, absorb it. Your content is being created right there. Content that people actually need in real time, in real life. This is one of the best creative processes that you can go through. So spend more time doing that kind of thing, going offline and having a look at that. And then the next thing that I wanted to share on here was, well, how do you become more visible when you're in person at networking events, conferences, or face-to-face? And I'm going to tie these all back to why I had a jam-packed January and have got a jam-packed January. I'll give you some examples as well. So when you're in person, networking is like, I know a lot of people don't like networking. And my personal theory is if you're mismatched to your networking, you won't enjoy the experience. So for example, if you're highly esoterical, highly, you do everything in flow, don't like the kind of more linear side of things, don't go to a structured linear, kind of almost, I'm going to say, male dominated type of event. You won't enjoy it as much. You won't enjoy the dynamics. You'll feel out of your comfort zone. And I know it's good to get outside of your comfort zone, but not in a way that sends you running for the hills and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. You might not be in the space where you want to thrust out business cards like a poker player. You might not be in a space where the people that you network with only wear suits or only accept you if you look a certain way, sound a certain way, are a certain age. And this can work both ways. Groups of millennials or groups of Gen XYZs, go to the sorts of networks that really light you up, where not only you're pleased to be in that room, but they're pleased to have you in the room. And it might take, a bit of time to do some research. You might look online, or better still, especially if you're in the Vibes tribe, go in there and ask, which networking events do you rate? Which ones have you enjoyed and why? Ask people who have actually done it, not who have read about it, but who have actually done it. And also ask them why, so that you can get a really great viewpoint of whether it serves you or not. Now, there's more that I want to say on that, but I won't say it now in the interest of your time, because I'm going to wrap this up shortly. But one of the things that I do in the visibility planner, I call it the ABC because it is your ABC to planning your visibility, is we look specifically at where your audience is. So where your audience is and where you're likely to find them, so that you're in front of them when you're networking. We look at your business. Are you an online business, an offline business, a hybrid of both? Because it's really important to match your activities, your visibility activities, with your business model, and have yourself be in front of where your businesses are. And also positioning yourself for credibility. This is really important. Just because you like the way this person does their social media, and you resonate with it, doesn't mean it's the same way that you have to. Just because you like Oprah doesn't mean that you have to try to become Oprah. All I want you to do is to try to become even more of who you are in a way that really magnetizes your audience. And this is what happened when I was blowing snot bubbles and, dragging my lips on the ground because I was like, oh my gosh, it's all going wrong. What have I done? And all of that kind of stuff. So the first thing I did was I got my head straight. Lots of meditation, lots of uplifting music. I'm a big fan of dance music. So anything with a beat will really kind of get me into a good place, much to my partner's annoyance, who works in his office and thinks she's having a party out there. But getting your head straight really, really helps. So what happened and why is January jam-packed? Because of the actions that I took, and to be honest with you, everything around me wasn't looking bright and rosy, but I took those actions anyway. What started to happen was I was literally, it felt to me anyway, I was putting one foot forward, one foot in front of the other. I went out more. I did do more in-person networking. I'm part of the British Chambers of Commerce. I'm one of their members, and I really highly recommend those, especially if you are a coach or if you are working with feminine energy, spirituality, because there's not that many other businesses within that arena. So already you're going to stand out and be different. But my particular Chamber of Commerce is the London Chamber of Commerce. And I'm now on their steering group as well, which is quite exciting. But I went to more meetings. I didn't go to the meetings with this whole, I need to go there and find clients. I need to get clients. I need to go out hunter-gathering. Nobody wants to be hunted by anyone, even by me, But I went out there because I wanted to hear where I could be of service. I wanted to hear what people's actual either issues were, successes were. I went there to listen. And one of the things that I personally do, because it works for me, my personality and who I am, whenever I go to any networking event, I'll always go with the intention of connecting with just one or two people in the room, kind of three if that's the case, but just really having a good conversation, making a good, authentic, genuine connection with somebody, not for any other reason than to connect with them. So that's what I did. And very quickly, and by the way, somebody asked me this, I'll share this with you because it might be useful. Somebody asked me how many times I network a month. My goal is to network in person 4 times a month, which is kind of on average once a week. But sometimes, like next week, I think I've got 3 events in 1 week. So by doing this, by going out and about, attending Christmas parties, joining associations, professional membership bodies, institutions, you start to broaden out your network. Because if you're doing something that helps people specifically, whether it's skincare creams, whether it's essences, whether it's helping them with their neurodiversity or their children, whether it's art, whether it's coaching or mentoring, public speaking, showing people how to do stuff in business, helping them with their relationships, helping them to feel themselves again and find their own happiness, wellness and, health and well-being. And those categories that I've mentioned alone, like there's people in the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group that do all of those sorts of things. When you start going out and about in real life, people start to hear more about the work you do because you're now having conversations with them, but you're hearing as they're speaking how you can help them and if you can help them. So what happened was I went along to these networking events. I arranged a lot of consultation calls, especially with the corporates and things. And I also had a lot of client conversations over Zoom. And what happened as a result of that was within the next couple of weeks, I can't remember if it's next week, I think it's the week afterwards, I'm actually, for those of you who are in financial services, paraplanners, financial planning, I'm actually going to be running a masterclass for the PFS, the Professional Financials Society. I think I've just completely butchered that. It's maybe not what it stands for. And they're a part division of the CII, which is I'm going to be speaking in a different language if you're not in financial services. But if you are and you've ever done a CMAP or a CII, Chartered Institute of Insurance, they're part of that professional body. So I will be running this masterclass on visibility, on putting yourself out there, raising your profile, but it will be aimed at those professional financial service people in professional services. So that was the first thing that got booked up. I actually got booked up for a gig on International Women's Day, and that was from something that I did in October. I've already been requested to speak in June, but coming back to January, following my activity going out and about, I had conversations. I listened to what was going on and realised that I might be in a position to help that person. Now, I didn't say, this is what I do, buy my stuff. We talked and they said, it'd be really great to have a call. We jumped on a call, and I've now got 2 VIP days, one next week, one the week afterwards. And in between that, I've got more of those kinds of calls scheduled. I don't really have a lot more kind of availability and time to squash things in, because in between all of that, I'm going to prepare this online training, delivered online but live like this, and that's going to be able to help people plan their own visibility path so that they can really accelerate the things that they do to their audiences, so that they can really build their business in their way, and so that they can position themselves for high credibility where they need to and when they need to. This isn't tactics, tips. This isn't even about social media. This is about having a plan that you can then rework again and again and again as you need to, when you need to, so that you can get in front of the people you need to. Too many people are wasting time on media, as I'm calling it. Too many people are burning out. Too many people are becoming frustrated. Too many people are thinking that their work doesn't work. Or even worse still, you've got this brilliance inside of you, but people aren't getting to experience, see that or hear that because they don't know it's you that does the thing that you do. So whether it's more speaking gigs that you want face-to-face or in the flesh, whether it's more opportunity to get your work in front of the people who you know need it most, whether it's a chance to become more known so that people start referring people to you, which also happened to me last month. I actually ended up delivering a speaking gig for 500 leaders of a very well-known UK-based company. I won't say who they were, with less than 24 hours notice, because I put myself out there regularly enough for people to know that I do what I do. And if they don't need me now, they know, or someone else knows, they can, call on me. And if I'm free, obviously I'm free. And if not, I'm not. But the point is, it makes me memorable for other people, and it makes you memorable for other people too. So I'm not sure if you've got any questions, but I'm going to wrap up now. If you have found this useful and you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please just hit the subscribe. I would like to grow my numbers because of the exciting announcement that I'll be able to tell you about, I hope in the next couple of weeks. But the exciting stuff that happened last year. And I really want to be able to share this with more people, because in those moments where you think you feel frustrated, you think you don't want to go on, you think you can't do this anymore, it's a horrible place to be. And sometimes in that moment, you don't feel like you can find a way out. You feel like you've wasted your time, feel like people aren't taking you seriously. And that's not true. You're brilliant at what you do. I want people to know what you do. I'm the queen of being seen, because you being seen, you being heard, and you being visible is literally why I do these live streams, why I get out of bed in the morning, why I flap my gums online and encourage you to do the same. So if you've got any tips or shares on how you best get out and about in your busy life, how you get away from the computer but make yourself be visible, by all means, share them in the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group or in the comments below, even if you're rewatching back on the replay. But most of all, if you could share with me what's one thing, just one thing that you're going to put into action, or one thing that made you think differently, by all means, type that in, let me know, share with me in the Vibes Tribe. I look forward to hearing from you. And until tomorrow, bye for now.